Welcome back to Time with God series. Bible study with me, WendyMichelle Thompson. Today's reading is Numbers chapter 9. And with Numbers 10, I want to tell you guys I'm going to try something a little different. It's something I've been excited about for a while, but you will have to tell me in the comments what you think about it, if you like it better or not. I'm excited about it. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. But with no further ado, let's get into God's Word. Numbers chapter 9. The Passover. The Lord spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai in the first month of the second year after they came out of Egypt. He said, "Have the Israelites celebrate the Passover at the appointed time. Celebrate it at the appointed time at twilight on the 14th day of this month in accordance with all its tribes and regulations." So Moses told the Israelites to celebrate the Passover, verse 5, and they did so in the desert of Sinai at twilight on the 14th day of the first month. The Israelites did everything just as the Lord commanded Moses. But some of them could not celebrate the Passover on that day because they were ceremonially unclean on account of a dead body. So they came to Moses, and Aaron said that same day and said to Moses, "We have become unclean because of a dead body. But why should we be kept from presenting the Lord's offering with the other Israelites at the appointed time?" Moses answered them, "Wait until I find out what the Lord commands concerning you." Then the Lord said to Moses, and this is verse 10, "Tell the Israelites, when any of you or your descendants are unclean because of a dead body or are away on a journey, they are still to celebrate the Lord's Passover, but they are to do it on the 14th day of the second month at twilight. They are to eat the lamb together with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They must not leave any of it till morning or break any of its bones. When they celebrate the Passover, they must follow all the regulations. But if anyone who is ceremonially clean and not on a journey fails to celebrate the Passover, they must be cut off from their people for not presenting the Lord's offering at the appointed time. They will bear the consequences of their sin. A foreigner residing among you is also to celebrate the Lord's Passover in accordance with its rules and regulations. You must have the same regulations for both the foreigner and the native born. The cloud above the tabernacle. And this is verse 15. On the day the tabernacle, the tent of the covenant law, was set up, the cloud covered it. From evening till morning, the cloud above the tabernacle looked like fire. That is how it continued to be. The cloud covered it, and at night it looked like fire. Whenever the cloud lifted from above the tent, the Israelites set out. Whenever the cloud settled, the Israelites encamped. At the Lord's command, the Israelites set out, and at his command they encamped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained at camp. When the cloud remained over the tabernacle a long time, the Israelites obeyed the Lord's order and did not set out. This is verse 20. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days. As the Lord commanded, they would encamp, and then at his command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only from evening till morning, and when it lifted in the morning, they set out, whether by day or by night. Whenever the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days or a month or a year, the Israelites would remain in camp and not set out. But when it lifted, they would set out. At the Lord's command, they encamped, and at the Lord's command, they set out. They obeyed the Lord's order in accordance with his command through Moses. And that concludes the reading of Numbers 9. Can any of you relate to this book? Or I should say, this chapter? I personally think of each chapter as a little book in itself. That's why I say that so often. But this chapter, have you always stayed when you felt like the Lord was saying stay? Or have you gone ahead and moved forward before you prayed about it or before you felt God's blessing on it? That is what I want to apply to the word today. So think about that. Has there been a time when you have went ahead, moved on, done what you felt was right, had all these positive vibes? Oh, let's move with this. This is good. And then come to find out, the Lord did not bless that at all. In fact, there was nothing about God in that decision. And also, when you have sat and waited on the Lord, was that an easy thing to do? There were times that he would have them sit and wait for what I am sure seemed like long periods of time. We are always in those waiting times in our lives. It doesn't matter whether it was before the time of Christ, during the time of Christ, after the time of Christ, many years after the time of Christ. We are always at some point waiting on something. Some things I know personally are easier to wait on than others. For example, you know you have to wait in the drive-through line for your food. Now, depending on if you're running late, or maybe it's just one of those days that's very chill and you have nothing on your agenda, waiting is much easier. Oh, okay, let's listen to this song and oh wow, I can't believe it, my favorite song just came on, or I have not heard this song in forever. And because we were waiting, we got to hear it. Because what I personally do is I get close to that menu board where I'm going to be speaking to whoever is taking our order out of courtesy. Because my very first job was at Burger King, and I know how hard it is to hear people over that whole microphone type system they have set up. That people will get angry when you have to ask them, can you please repeat that? But wow, that was when I was 15 years old, and I'm 52 now, and I know things have advanced and gotten better, and I'm sure the technology beyond those boards of communicating your order is much better than it was back then when I was working at Burger King. But I remember people were just downright hateful. People come with their baggage, you know, whatever they've gone through the day before they are speaking to you over the intercom system. And then there's the other part of it. The person who is waiting for the customer. Give me a second, please. Okay, order when you are ready. And you think, okay, are they still there? And you're looking through the window and you see there's a lineup of cars, and you try to kindly say, are you ready now? No, I'm still looking. Give me a moment, please. I don't know if this is true still, but when I worked at Burger King, there was a timer on our side. And of course, it was pushed to get people through the drive-thru as quick as possible for the customer so that no one had to wait very long. And it was held against our employee time. I don't know, I guess they just looked at an average of how long it took with each customer. And I'm assuming, depending if it was a large party, or sometimes there's several orders within one car, 4 or 5 different orders, all paying separately. And you've got things to do, or maybe it's time for you to get off shift. And I was a high schooler having to get home, expecting to be home at a certain time, even though just like with any other job, you can't ever really say, well, I can leave at this time and I'm going to be home at this time, Mom and Dad. So many different things can interfere. So I know how hard it is on either side of that particular scenario to wait. How do you feel when you have to wait for a long time? And maybe it is something that is huge in your life, and you are waiting on God's timing. You know that you should not go ahead and move on until you get that green light from God. And He makes it very obvious when there's a green light or a red light. Stop. You're not going anywhere. That yellow light, which we were taught in driving school, is a caution light, or to proceed with caution. Go ahead and be slowing down. Or, I think the movie was called Starship, and it's an alien, and he has learned that yellow means go very fast before it turns red. Where are you when you are waiting on God? Are you completely obedient? It could be something you don't want to do, and God's given the green light to do it. It may be something that is, stop, wait, there's a red light here. This is not the direction that I have for you at all, my dear child. Wait, wait, because you will see I have something so much better, something better than you can even imagine. Or that caution light, do you go ahead and go slowly, proceed with caution, constantly looking at the traffic from right and left, or maybe something coming above you or behind you, do you go ahead and go very fast so that you aren't stuck at that red light knowing you're going to have to wait? I think it's a good analogy for us to apply to our lives, because they did obey. And God was saying, okay, this is when I want you to celebrate the Passover. He had very certain commands about it. And I think it's great that there were some that realized, oh, this is something that God typically says, okay, there's exceptions to the rule. We do not do anything when we're unclean for some reason. And remember, there was a lot of different things that we read about that could make us unclean. There's a lot of things in our lives, a lot of different scenarios that could be put upon us to where we should stop and reflect, even if there's supposedly a green light. Tell me in the comments how you deal with the timing of God. And you can apply the stoplight, the green, yellow, and red light to it, because it is something we all can relate to. Have you ever had to suffer severe consequences or have to do a big rehaul in your life because you proceeded very quickly instead of proceeding with caution? I love you guys. God bless your today and all your tomorrows. I'm excited about the next chapter. We'll see how it goes. I love your comments. I truly take your suggestions to heart. So I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I have hinted to it before. I am excited to hear what you guys think about it. And until then, take care, have an awesome day, and be blessed.